What's up, internet users, and welcome to the Douay-Rheims Daily. Today is May the 13th, and we're going to be reading 2 Samuel chapters 13 and 14, Psalm 127, and the Gospel according to John chapter 3, verses 19 to 36. So starting with 2 Samuel, also known as 2 Kings, chapter 13. And it came to pass after this, that Amnon, the son of David, loved the sister of Absalom, the son of David, who was very beautiful, and her name was Tamar. And he was exceedingly fond of her, so that he fell sick for the love of her. For as she was a virgin, he thought it hard to do anything dishonestly with her. Now Amnon had a friend named Jonadab, the son of Sama, the brother of David, a very wise man. And he said to him, Why dost thou grow so lean from day to day, O son of the king? Why dost thou not tell me the reason of it? And Amnon said to him, I am in love with Tamar, the sister of my brother Absalom. And Jonadab said to him, Lie down upon thy bed, and feign thyself sick. And when thy father shall come to visit thee, say to him, Let my sister Tamar, I pray thee, come to me, to give me to eat, and to make a mess, that I may eat it at her hand. So Amnon lay down, and made as if he were sick. And when the king came to visit him, Amnon said to the king, I pray thee, let my sister Tamar come, and make in my sight 2 little messes, that I may eat at her hand. Then David sent home to Tamar, saying, Come to the house of thy brother Amnon, and make him a mess. And Tamar came to the house of Amnon her brother. But he was laid down, and she took meal and tempered it, and dissolved it in his sight. And dissolving it in his sight, she made little messes. And taking what she had boiled, she poured it out, and set it before him, but he would not eat. And Amnon said, Put out all persons from me. And when they had put all persons out, Amnon said to Tamar, Bring the mess into the chamber, that I may eat at thy hand. And Tamar took the little messes which she had made, and brought them in to her brother Amnon in the chamber. And when she had presented him the meat, he took hold of her and said, Come, lie with me, my sister. She answered him, Do not so, my brother, do not force me, for no such thing must be done in Israel. Do not thou this folly. For I shall not be able to bear my shame, and thou shalt be as one of the fools in Israel. But rather speak to the king, and he will not deny me to thee. For I shall not be able to bear my shame. Oh, excuse me, I already read that. But he would not hearken to her prayers, but being stronger, empowered her, and lay with her. Then Amnon hated her with an exceeding great hatred, so that the hatred wherewith he hated her was greater than the love with which he had loved her before. And Amnon said to her, Arise and get thee gone. She answered him, The evil which thou hast done against me in driving me away is greater than that which thou didst before. And he would not hearken to her. But calling the servants that ministered to him, he said, Thrust this woman out from me, and shut the door after her. And she was clothed with a long robe, for the king's daughters that were virgins used such kind of garments. Then his servant thrust her out, and shut the door after her. And she put ashes on her head, and rent her long robe, and laid her hands upon her head, and went on crying. And Absalom her brother said to her, Hath thy brother Amnon lain with thee? But now, sister, hold thy peace, he is thy brother, and afflict not thy heart for this thing. So Tamar remained, pining away in the house of Absalom her brother. And when King David heard of these things, he was exceedingly grieved, and he would not afflict the spirit of his son Amnon, for he loved him, because he was his firstborn. But Absalom spoke not to Amnon, neither good nor evil, for Absalom hated Amnon, because he had ravished his sister Tamar. And it came to pass after 2 years, that the sheep of Absalom were shorn in Baal-Hasor, which is near Ephraim, and Absalom invited all the king's sons. And he came to the king and said to him, Behold, thy servant's sheep are shorn. Let the king, I pray, with his servants come to his servant. And the king said to Absalom, Nay, my son, do not ask that we should all come and be chargeable to thee. And when he pressed him, and he would not go, he blessed him. And Absalom said, If thou wilt not come, at least let my brother Amnon, I beseech thee, come with us. And the king said to him, It is not necessary that he should go with thee. But Absalom pressed him, so that he let Amnon and all the king's sons go with him. And Absalom made a feast, as it were the feast of a king. And Absalom had commanded his servants, saying, Take notice when Amnon shall be drunk with wine, and when I shall say to you, Strike him, and kill him, fear not, for it is I that command you. Take courage, and be valiant men. And the servants of Absalom did to Amnon as Absalom had commanded them. And all the king's sons arose and got up, every man upon his mule, and fled. And while they were yet in the way, a rumor came to David, saying, Absalom hath slain all the king's sons, and there is not one of them left. Then the king rose up and rent his garments, and fled upon the ground, and all his servants that stood about him rent their garments. But Jonadab, the son of Sama, David's brother, answering, said, Let not my lord the king think that all the king's sons are slain. Amnon only is dead, for he was appointed by the mouth of Absalom from the day that he ravished his sister Tamar. Now therefore let not my lord the king take this thing into his heart, saying, All the king's sons are slain, for Amnon only is dead. But Absalom fled away, and the young man that kept the watch lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there came much people by a byway on the side of the mountain. And Jonadab said to the king, Behold, the king's sons are come, as thy servant said, so it is. And when he made an end of speaking, the king's sons also appeared, and coming in they lifted up their voice and wept, and the king also and all his servants wept very much. But Absalom fled, and went to Ptolemy, the son of Ammiud, the king of Gesur. And David mourned for his son every day. And Absalom, after he was fled, and come into Gesur, was there 3 years. And King David ceased to pursue after Absalom, because he was comforted concerning the death of Amnon. Chapter 14. And Joab, the son of Sarvia, understanding that the king's heart was turned to Absalom, sent to Tekoa, and fetched from thence a wise woman, and said to her, Feign thyself to be a mourner, and put on mourning apparel, and be not anointed with oil, that thou mayest be as a woman that had a long time been mourning for one dead. And thou shalt go in to the king, and shalt speak to him in this manner. And Joab put the words in her mouth. And when the woman of Tekoa was come in to the king, she fell before him upon the ground and worshipped, and said, Save me, O king. And the king said to her, What is the matter with thee? She answered, Alas, I am a widow woman, for my husband is dead. And thy handmaid had 2 sons, and they quarreled with each other in the field, and there was none to part them. And the one struck the other and slew him. And behold, the whole kindred rising against thy handmaid saith, Deliver him that hath slain his brother, that we may kill him for the life of his brother, whom he slew, and that we may destroy the heir. And they seek to quench my spark which is left, and will leave my husband no name, nor remainder upon the earth. And the king said to the woman, Go to thy house, and I will give charge concerning thee. And the woman of Tekoa said to the king, Upon me, my lord, be the iniquity, and upon the house of my father, but may the king and his throne be guiltless. And the king said, If anyone shall say aught against thee, bring him to me, and he shall not touch thee any more. And she said, Let the king remember the Lord his God, that the next of kin be not multiplied to take revenge, and that they may not kill my son. And he said, As the Lord liveth, there shall not one hair of thy son fall to the earth. Then the woman said, Let thy handmaid speak one word to my lord the king. And he said, Speak. And the woman said, Why hast thou thought such a thing against the people of God? And why hast the king spoken this word, to sin, and not bring home against his own exile? We all die, and like waters that return no more, we fall down into the earth. Neither will God have a soul to perish, but recalleth, meaning that he that is cast off should not altogether perish. Now therefore I am come to speak this word to my lord the king before the people. And thy handmaid said, I will speak to the king. It may be the king will perform the request of his handmaid. And the king hath hearkened to me to deliver his handmaid out of the hand of all that would destroy me and my son, together out of the inheritance of God. Then let thy handmaid say, that the word of the Lord the king be made as a sacrifice. For even as an angel of God, so is my lord the king, that he is neither moved with blessing nor cursing. Wherefore the Lord thy God is also with thee. And the king answering said to the woman, Hide not from me the thing that I ask thee. And the woman said to him, Speak, my lord the king. And the king said, Is not the hand of Joab with thee in all this? The woman answered and said, By the health of thy soul, my lord, O king, it is neither on the left hand nor on the right hand in all these things which my lord the king hath spoken. For thy servant Joab, he commanded me, and he put all these words into the mouth of thy handmaid. that I should come about with this form of speech, thy servant Joab commanded this. But thou, my lord, O king, art wise, according to the wisdom of an angel of God, to understand all things upon earth. And the king said to Joab, Behold, I am appeased, and have granted thy request. Go therefore and fetch back the boy Absalom. And Joab, falling down to the ground upon his face, adored and blessed the king. And Joab said, This day thy servant hath understood that I have found grace in thy sight, my lord, O king, for thou hast fulfilled the request of thy servant. Then Joab arose and went to Geshur, and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. But the king said, Let him return into his house, and let him not see my face. So Absalom returned into his house, and saw not the king's face. But in all Israel there was not a man so comely and so exceedingly beautiful as Absalom. From the sole of the foot to the crown of his head there was no blemish in him. And when he polled his hair, now he was polled once a year because his hair was burdensome to him, he weighed the hair of his head at 200 sickles, according to the common weight. And there were born to Absalom 3 sons, and 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar, and she was very beautiful. And Absalom dwelt 2 years in Jerusalem, and saw not the king's face. He sent therefore to Joab, to send him to the king, but he would not come to him. And when he had sent the 2nd time, and he would not come to him, he said to his servants, You know the field of Joab near my field, that hath a crop of barley. Now go and set it on fire. So the servants of Absalom set the corn on fire. And Joab's servants, coming with their garments rent, said, The servants of Absalom have set part of the field on fire. Then Joab arose and came to Absalom to his house, and said, Why have thy servants set my corn on fire? And Absalom answered Joab, I sent to thee beseeching thee to come to me, that I might send thee to the king, to say to him, Wherefore am I come from Geshur? It had been better for me to be there. I beseech thee, therefore, that I may see the face of the king, and if he be mindful of my iniquity, let him kill me. So Joab, going into the king, told him all, and Absalom was called for. And he went into the king and prostrated himself on the ground before him, and the king kissed Absalom. All right, next we have Psalm 127. Beate omnes. Blessed are all they that fear the Lord, that walk in his ways. For thou shalt eat the labors of thy hands. Blessed art thou, and it shall be well with thee. Thy wife as a fruitful vine on the sides of thy house, thy children as olive plants round about thy table. Behold, thus shall the man be blessed that feared the Lord. May the Lord bless thee out of Sion, and mayest thou see the good things of Jerusalem all the days of thy life, and mayest thou see thy children's children. Peace upon Israel. And lastly, we have the Gospel according to John, chapter 3, verses 19 to 36. And just for context, this is Jesus. He's still speaking to Nicodemus. And this is the judgment, because the light is come into the world, and men loved darkness rather than the light, for their works were evil. For everyone that doth evil hateth the light, and cometh not to the light, that his works may not be reproved. But he that doth truth cometh to the light, that his works may be made manifest, because they are done in God. After these things Jesus and his disciples came into the land of Judea, and there he abode with them, and baptized. And John also was baptizing in Aenon near Salem, because there was much water there, and they came and were baptized. For John was not yet cast into prison. And there arose a question between some of John's disciples and the Jews concerning purification. And they came to John and said to him, Rabbi, he that was with thee beyond the Jordan, to whom thou gavest testimony, behold, he baptizeth, and all men come to him. John answered and said, A man cannot receive anything unless it be given him from heaven. You yourselves do bear me witness, that I said, I am not Christ, but that I am sent before him. He that hath the bride is the bridegroom, but the friend of the bridegroom who standeth and heareth him rejoiceth with joy because of the bridegroom's voice. This my joy therefore is fulfilled. He must increase, but I must decrease. He that cometh from above is above all. He that is of the earth of the earth he is, and of the earth he speaketh. He that cometh from heaven is above all. And what he hath seen and heard, that he testifieth, and no man receiveth his testimony. He that hath received his testimony hath set to his seal that God is true. For he whom God hath sent speaketh the words of God. For God doth not give the Spirit by measure. The Father loveth the Son, and he hath given all things into his hand. He that believeth in the Son hath life everlasting, but he that believeth not the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God abideth on him. And that about wraps it up. Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. You got Amnon, the son of David, raping his sister. And by the way, this is what God's talking about. Remember yesterday when David saw the woman bathing from the rooftop? David slew Urias, right? God said, yeah, you're forgiven, sure. But you're going to be paying for it for the rest of your life. And David is only now at the beginning. He's only seeing he's barely seeing the tip of the iceberg when it comes to his punishment for that sin. Already he's seeing his two sons. One of his sons raped his daughter. And then you have Absalom, his most beloved son. Well, Amnon was his most beloved before he died. But it's just the strife of your children, One son kills your other son. I mean, that's heartbreaking for a father. He loved them both, but he especially loved Amnon. The one he loved most died. So it's pretty brutal. And I love how this all plays out. I know it sounds pretty gruesome, but you'll see at the end of David's life how he goes from being the meek shepherd boy to being the strong king, the king of war. You'll see how he does prideful things, and you'll see at the very end how he really tames out, how he actually learns humility in the very end. David was not perfect by any stretch, but seeing how his character really develops, it's actually really beautiful. I love how his character develops. I was thinking of character development as though it were like a novel. It's actually a true story, I believe. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. God bless.